Are we live now?
Yes, sir. We can see you very much.
Fine, great.
It is not still live.
Yep.
It's not live yet.
Yes. Okay. A pleasant and a happy day to everyone. I, Ravi Kumar KS from Bangalore, welcome all the dignitaries of IIU and today's speakers, Mr. Sunil Srivastava sir and Dr. Dharmesh Shah sir, for their speech on the topic of the day, that is the digital education. I welcome all the viewers on both the platforms, that is FB Live and also Zoom platform. I'm highly privileged and honored to moderate this wonderful session, a platform provided by our founders, Piyush Pandit sir. So today is the day 14 of the National Education Policy India 2020 Webinar Series. The topic for the day is ICT, that is Integrated Communication System. So let us understand what is Integrated Communication System. So in the last session, we learned about the digital education, and prior to that, we learned about the adult education. So this is in continuation to topics that we did go through the last couple of days. India, though a successful ICT-powered nation, has always laid a lot of accent on the use of ICT, not only for good governance, but also in the diverse sectors of the economy, such as health, agriculture, and education. Education, undoubtedly, is one of the most important investments in building human capital in a medium that not only sculpts good literature and good literate citizens, but also makes a nation technologically innovative, thus providing a path to economic growth. So with this knowledge of saying that education really is a need of the hour for the economic growth of any country, I am privileged to introduce the organization on which we are able to go through this series of webinars each day from 7 o'clock to 8:30 in the evening. So the organization is International Internship University, in short, IIU, is a leading virtual education system and a global brand confederation, which is the most valuable and trusted worldwide and well reputed in delivering innovative programs. IIU is committed to providing highest quality of education to all the learners of the globe, regardless of social or economic background. IIU is providing access to more than 1,000 plus courses and internships to their learners across the globe. With the help of its committed, experienced, and high-caliber global educators. In a short span of time, IIO has spread its wing across 195 countries and 6 continents. This itself speaks the volume of the IIU. Under the strong leadership of its visionary founder, Mr. Piyush Pandit sir, who is a committed and inspiring social activist, a passionate educationist from the last 2 decades, providing education to students from various social and cultural backgrounds. Piyush Pandit sir has publicized the World Education Policy, which aims at one education, one foundation, one world. IIO has taken the initiative to reach every learner in rural as well as in the urban areas through the Vidyanjali project, an initiative by the Ministry of Education, Government of India, to provide higher education as well as vocational training along with the internship opportunities. IIU is the revolution in education today. So, Ravi Kumar KS, based out in Bangalore, a master trainer for soft skills, English coaching, and also for English verbal ability, a national certified POSH and POXO enabler, a mentor, a communication coach, and also internationally certified course counselor for students. And I am also internationally certified for the master trainer for faculty development program and teachers training program. Other than this, I do a lot of campus to corporate trainings and so on and so forth for both the corporates as well as for the educational institutions. With this brief about me, now it is the time for me to welcome our speaker of the day, the first speaker, in fact, of the day, Mr. Sunil Srivastav sir. Sunil Srivastav sir is a principal of Kids Kingdom Public School, Nanded. He was experienced for about nearly 3 decades, an avid reader and a learner, is pleased to be a leadership trainer. When you say that an avid reader, that itself tells much about the passion and the inclination towards his learning. So his passion towards becoming a leadership trainer for British Council and also the master trainer for Kalo India and trainer for CBSE. With this high caliber of knowledge and experience, I'm very much pleased to invite Mr. Sunil Srivastav sir onto the platform for giving us more knowledge on this ICT. So it's all yours, sir. You are most welcome. The platform is yours. Sir, you have to unmute.
So good evening, Ravi sir, and thank you very much for the wonderful introduction. And I take this opportunity also to thank Snigdha ma'am and Piyush sir for giving this opportunity over this platform to speak and to share our views about various aspects of national education policy. And I also thank Dharmesh sir for, yesterday we had a discussion on the topic. So ICT is a very commonly and very easily used word in education domain. Every person today, if you just they talk about ICT, it's information and communication technology. And when I was referring, I came across with one wonderful definition. So I would like to read that definition for you. It is in one of the research articles. It is defined as the application of technology in processing of information and communication. So to process the information and communication, the way it is applied, the technology is applied, so that is ICT. And if you ask me, I mean, integration of technology was always there in education. Earlier, everyone used the recorded cassettes. There were the LPs. There was overhead projector. That was one of the very strongest thing was there. In science, we happen to use like telescopes, maybe microscopes, and all that stuff. But what is the difference between that technology and this technology is more of an information and communication technology. That was one where one used to use those tools to deliver the content. Now, whereas here in the present scenario, the information communication technology, which is again a very, very important thing, it is for education and ICT in education. So it covers two aspects. One aspect is that throws more light upon the pedagogy that is to be applied in the teaching learning process, both in higher education as well as in the school education. That is ICT in education. And ICT for education, that talks about more of equipping the teachers, the professors with the lot of information that is available throughout in the both on the digital platform and as well as the print literature. Now, when you come back to national education policy, so much before national education policy highlighted this point, many of the schools, many of the education institutions, specifically the private institutions, even to some extent, a lot of government institutions have started using information technology into their day-to-day teaching learning process. That was integral to it. Always it was started. But what difference that has this NEP has made is that the NEP was introduced amidst the COVID. Just now when we were talking, Dharmesh sir has very rightly told about that. So it was introduced, or it was declared, the policy was declared amidst the COVID 2020, because COVID started in the month of March, and by the end of July, the NEP was out, and then people started about that. So section 23 and 24 has elaborated of national education policy, has very elaborately mentioned about what exactly the government envisions to make this country ICT equipped, or how the ICT can be integrated and applied in the day-to-day learning process. It has talked at length about NETF, it has talked about Swayam Prabha, it has talked about Swayam, it has talked about Diksha apps and Diksha platforms. So certainly it is there. So the 2 pages are very, very important of the national education policy. But what we all have to understand, or what we all have to know, is that if you compare globally, India is far behind as compared to the other, because the teachers have already started, the students have already started using that. Number one. Number two, when we see there is a huge digital divide between, again, I could, if I'm not wrong, it is haves and have nots in economic terms. So many of them has already started using digital platform, and still many more are far miles away, thousands of miles away from using this. So the biggest challenge, I mean, definitely Dharmesh is the right person to speak on other types. My primary focus will be on the challenges. The primary challenge is of that, how are we going to reach and how many years we are going to take that? Because the technology, the present day technology, the pace of the present technology is very, very quick, very, very fast. By the time a new technology comes and people start using, the other technology is introduced. So this is the speed, the rocket speed, we can say that. To match that speed, and with our all bureaucratic setup in the education system, if it is controlled by that. So what I expect is, it is like the global should come to local. So global and local should be one funda which we'll be using. So the more autonomy and more volunteerism should be seen in the local level education institutions in applying and working on this technology to make it happen. Because by the time the government will come, the government will proceed, it will take its own time, because the policy is a vision document largely. Still NCF is under, is being framed. So it will take its own time. But the private players, one thing, and the education institutions, the second institution, can very much, go forward, and they can do that with a high speed. This is one thing. Secondly, we need to implement the paper to practice approach. So all that is in the paper, whether we talk about the research papers, whether we talk about national education policy document, whether we talk about NCF or higher education institutes, then who is going to practice that? So there has to be the larger responsibility lies on the educators. How they can change it. They should be they are the catalyst of change, but in ICT they have to be more proactive. How they can do? One, they can have a small action research programs in the school and in the education domain, which will be more practical rather than making a research paper. It should be more of how it can be utilized in the findings can be utilized in the perfect implementation of the technology or the findings in the day-to-day teaching learning process. That is one thing which is very, very important. What I feel, I might be wrong. The second important thing is that there has to be more on change of attitude of the teaching fraternity. The teaching fraternity need to change their attitude, because if you talk about me, the teacher who is now at the age of 30 or 35, and if you divide the teaching fraternity in three different age groups, like maybe the initials who are 25 to 35, they may be more equipped. The 35 to 45, they would be less equipped. And 45 to 60, if you take that, most of them would be reluctant users of ICT. I would like to share, we introduced digital boards long back, 10 years before in our school. And we started that. What was happened, that my teachers were not equipped with that. And there was more of passive learning. The teacher used to start the digital whiteboard, they used to run the videos, and then the class was over. So there has to be a lot of training program, and definitely it has been mentioned in the policy also. Here, every teacher, irrespective of his age, he should be given some minimum hours of learning, and there has to be very strong monitoring to make it happen. Otherwise, there will be the divide will go on, and the students community will be at loss on a larger front. And if you want to avoid that, that is very, very important. The second important thing is we also need to see the challenges. I mean, in the national education policy, a lot of things are there, but there are some good platforms, digital platforms that are available globally. I mean, most of you must be aware, but I would like to mention a few. One is Mentimeter, the other is Padlet, which I came across with these, and they're very interesting, very interactive platform. Those kind of platforms can be developed in India, or rather they can be used. Third important thing is financial allocation. The financial allocation has to be made at the institutional level. Here, I don't expect the government should do. Government will be doing its own, whatever the government wants to do. But every institution has to have a specific budget allocation, wherein the lot of efforts will be, or a lot of initiatives will be taken by the management, by the institutions, to train the teachers and everyone in the school. The third important thing is that artificial intelligence has been spoken at length in the policy also, and some of the research papers also. So that is also called as disruptive technology. So that disruptive technologies should again go to the grassroots level. How it has to be brought. That is again very, very important thing. The biggest risk which I am foreseeing is that a lot of private players are coming into the name of introducing technology or integrating technology into education. And the challenge will be with the education administrators and the policymakers at the institutional level. How much are they aware of that? How much is the work of introducing that technology just for the sake of introducing a technology and getting a huge companies, roping the companies into this institution, and at the cost of the students' pocket, or at the cost of the institutional purse. So that is again one has to be very, very careful about selecting this. So there has to be mass awareness by the social entrepreneurs or the NGOs creating an awareness about using the appropriate technology. Of course, government technology also is very, very good. I mean, Diksha, during the lockdown, many of us have used the Diksha and Swayam apps, and they were huge, immensely useful to the teachers as well. So these are few challenges. If we would like to address them, then I think, and my approach would be more of it is let the government do whatever the government wants to do, but it is the school, it is the colleges at the level, because what I have observed at my, it can be in my local context, it may not be there in other places, is that there is lack of acceptance towards the technology. There is a lot of reluctance towards the technology, and this is there for the last 15 years. Not that it will change. 10 years also, we are very quick to adopt technology for our benefit. Like, mobile, we have accepted it, but integrating or using that mobile for education purpose, Google or YouTube, we will take it. Still, 70 to 80% people in India still use this media, these tools for entertainment. So that shift from entertainment to education is very, very important. And that will be interesting to see how the policy makers will be taking interest and making it happen. That is very, very important. Yeah, I think I'll stop with this, sir. And I made my point clear. In maybe in the second session, in the question answer session, I'll be more glad to address few questions if any are there, sir. Thank you so much. Ravi, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sunil Srivastava, sir. It was really great insights that you have provided all our viewers across the globe about the ICT. And the best part of it, which really tickled my brain, or like the aspects of the ICT. There's one is like it throws the lights on the pedagogy for both the learners as well as for the educators, and also gives a platform for educators to do the R&D and also explore their methodologies for teaching. And one more aspect that I really loved was rightly what we say is transferring from book to work. That's what you told it as paper to practice. So it is the need of the hour today, because all of us have a wide knowledge about many verticals in many domains, but we are not able to implement each and everything in each and every domain or in each and every vertical. And the third thing was very beautifully said by you, that I am terming it as from my own thing. The insight what I had from you was that instead of using the term what and when or where, always it is better to make the students understand how and why. It was beautifully told by you. And also the challenges that were really briefed very well were like benefits being lost to the students if we are not on our core values in delivering our education to the students. And disruptive technology was another this thing. Also about the social entrepreneurs, the concern about the social entrepreneurs, that they have to be having the mass awareness to inculcate this knowledge. And the another aspect of shifting from the entertainment platform to the education platform. Very wonderfully explained, and hats off to you, sir. And would love to hear from you much more on this aspect going forward. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So now it is my honor to invite our second speaker for the day, who is none other than a great stalwart in the field of education, Dr. Dharmesh Shah, sir. Dr. Dharmesh Shah, sir, is working with governments as well as private sectors in academics, as well as industry. carrying behind him more than 2.5 decades of industry experience. At present, he is the Provost, Sankalchan Patel University, Visnanagar, Gujarat, CEO and Director of Shruj LED Technologies Private Limited, Ahmedabad. He is the Chairman of IIT Ahmedabad Chapter, Industrial Radiology Consultant for Atomic Energy Regulatory. He is the Charter Engineer, Research and Publications. He has done research and publications and many areas of research like soft computing, artificial intelligence, VLSI design, digital signal processing, intelligent control system design, registered as PhD guide at Gujarat Technology University, Ahmedabad, Kadi University, Gandhinagar, Ganpat University, Kherwa, and Charusach, Changa. He is a former provost and the academic director of Sankalchan Patel University, former dean engineering at Gujarat at Technological University Ahmedabad, former director Navasarjan Sankul and Mehsana as a part of Innovation Council under Gujarat Technological University Ahmedabad. Former member of School Research Committee, Gujarat Technological University Ahmedabad, member Syllabus Committee, UG and PG programs, Gujarat Technological University Ahmedabad, Ganpat University, Kherwa, member Board of Faculty, Ganpat University, Kherwa, fellow member of IIT, ex-Honorable Secretary of IIT Ahmedabad, member of Research Progress Committee, Nirma University, member of Board of Students, Electronics and Communication, Nirma University, consultant engineer with Everest Instruments Private Limited, senior member of IAC SIT, life member of IST, member of IEEE. I think only the path that he has covered in the journey of his 2.5 decades of experience would speak the volume of his knowledge on the technology and the technological aspects that are being used. And I think he would be the most appropriate person for the day to enlighten us with more and more knowledge of how, why, when, where, and what about the ICT for all of us. So I cordially welcome you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
The platform is yours, and it's all over to you, sir.
Thank you, Ravi sir, for nicely introducing. Actually, it's a simple. We are all academicians. Yeah, just I would like to continue with what Mr. Sunil has started with. When we talk about NEP and ICT, we also need to understand that why ICT is required as a part of the new education policy. See, we all are using technology for long, like in a different way. And then NEP has come and it has shown us that, okay, let us use that ICT in a big way. Probably COVID has taught us how to go online for learning. Earlier, we used to, a lot of people used to apply this thing that why don't we go online? But there was minimum acceptance. But today, if you see, probably this webinar could not have been the thought of if the COVID has not come and then we have not moved to the classes, online classes. Let me just share my slide so that I can give some idea on what I actually wanted to understand, explain. See, why we want to talk about ICT? India is a global leader in ICT and cutting technologies. And the Digital India as well as Skill India campaign that has been started has helped us a lot in transforming entire nation to the digital empowered society as well as knowledge economy. Now, when we talk about the society getting digital, we are using online transactions, we are using online mechanisms for purchase, e-commerce and everything. But why not in education? Now, it's only that we are talking about education, that is delivery of classes or pedagogy, or we also want to talk beyond that. So education technology. So basically now we have to think differently, that education is one, and the usage of technology. So new thing that is coming up today is an education technology, which is going to play an important role in processes as well as the outcomes. If we refer the thing that has been talked about, then one important thing that is coming up today is that when we do an online session, we only deliver the content. But when NEP is talking about envisioning the ICT, it's talked much beyond that. That we don't have to restrict ourselves to the only online sessions, but we also have to think differently, that how we can give an experiential learning to our students through the technology, either in the class or through an online session. So probably in that sense, the disruptive technology like AI and virtual reality, augmented reality, and extended reality, these are going to come into picture. Just last week, when I was talking to one of the professional in Pune, they have developed a technology where they can teach how to do a welding without using welding tools. So they are using AR technology and then some tools which are today used by the kids for gaming. So they use gaming for playing tennis and all this stuff like PlayStations and everything. So similar stuff that can be given to the student on a hand, they can start learning welding also. So here I'm not consuming any material, but at the same time, I'm giving them hands-on on the welding technologies. So we have to think differently about the technology and how it can be utilized for the benefit of the students as well as the society. What I understand is that NEP 2020 recognizes the importance of leveraging the advantage of technology. Technology in terms of disruptive technology, that is AI, machine learning, deep learning, AR, VR, so AR, VR as well as XR, and many more things that is coming up. But at the same time, we also have to acknowledge the potential risk and dangers of using them, because then we don't know whether my son or my daughter or my ward is working with a learning part, or they are using the time on a mobile or a PlayStation for learning something else. We have to look at the care. So NEP says that, okay, there needs to be a carefully designed and appropriately scaled pilot studies to determine the benefits of digital as well as online education. We have to optimize as well as extend the existing digital platform like Swayam. We are already using. Earlier we used to have the NPTEL. Diksha platform is really good that we used during the lockdown. So, and at the same time, other ICT-based education initiatives to meet the current needs as well as the further challenges. Using technology for online and digital education adequately to address the concerns of equity. Now here, when we talk about equity, we know that education needs to be taken to the last mile. Otherwise, the underprivileged people will not be able to come to the school. But at the same time, there is a challenge here. The challenge is the bandwidth. Today, I'm using a mobile phone with some Geo or BSNL or a Vodafone, where I'm getting 2 GB of bandwidth per day, 2 GB of data, 2 GB of data per day. What about, but my consumption is more than 2 GB, then how I'm going to survive? Because then it is again a cost. At the same time, the speed, when I'm delivering a session and my student wants to listen, go through it in an online medium, then using a video, it actually occupies a more bandwidth. So when I'm using more bandwidth, means I'm consuming more data also. So when I'm consuming the data, then my 2 GB pack is getting over faster. So people also have to think about the disruptive technology in reducing the bandwidth for transmitting the video. Probably the IIT Chennai Research Park, they did wonderful job. They have developed one smart device which is working at 684 kbps. Now 684 kbps is even with my simple small, like not even with the 2G. With the 2G phone, if they are able to deliver the video content to the other side, probably I'll be able to reach to the more mass, because then bandwidth requirement is reduced, and the remote location in the country, which has the low signal strength, they will be also able to use the technology. So when we talk about the disruptive technology, not only about the AI, the development of applications, but also need to think about the disruptive technology in terms of transmitting the data. And that's where the communication technology actually plays a major role. So here, technology for online digital education needs to be adequately addressed so that we can reach to the larger mass. And even with the Divyangs, because we know that Divyangs, they face a lot of difficulty in coming to the institute. So even if they're physically challenged, they can be there at their place, their home, at the place of their community, and they can learn. Mr. Sunil sir has rightly narrated the challenges at an implementation level, that digital competency of the teachers to meet the further need. It's not necessary that today all teachers are good at digital technologies. So there needs to be proper training programs to be developed as well as implemented at the school level. Not only about delivering the classes, but also preparing the classes, because preparing a digital content which is suitable for the presentation on an online media or an online class or a digital education is also important. And having a studio facility at an institute level or at a central level or a taluka level for masses will be useful. So I think that social entrepreneur structure, which Sunil sir has rightly said about, they have to think about that part also. That preparing a content at a school level or a town level, there needs to be a certain facility where teachers can go there and prepare that digital content which is suitable for delivering the classes. Important second part, that unavailability of open as well as public resources for infrastructure, studios, bandwidth, in of delivering certain classes like mathematics. Using which we can teach board kind of on a digital media like a chalk and board kind of methods. When we talk about a digital education, we also have screen-based education. That needs to be a simulation-based as well as emulator-based platforms where student can also do a hands-on with the remote platforms. A school student or a college student performing a PN junction diode experiment, if they only have to do the simulation through the software, then it's not going to give them a better advantage. But if you can provide them certain emulator-based platforms, then they will be able to change the parameters on their system, and similar results which are getting produced on hardware can be replicated on the screen. And more importantly, that we have to ensure that the digital divide, because of the bandwidth, because of the instruments, because of the computing power available at a certain level, also needs to be bridged. Because not everyone will be able to afford the digital systems or a computational system that we want to apply for technology. So technology, when we are developing a disruptive technology, when we are talking about that needs to be supportive to all kind of digital systems that we have, whether it is a mobile from an X company or a Y company, or it is a PC from an X company to the Y company. With the minimum configuration, it should be able to deliver the same performance. So this is going to be the key parameter in the actual implementation of an education. How we need to move forward. So I think with the challenges, I also try to explain the same thing, that we need to have the suitable teacher training to prepare teachers as an effective online educators. We also have to change the pedagogy in online as well as a digital education mode. So only, instead of taking only the classroom thing, we also have to do the experiential learning. We also have to develop a mechanism for an online assessment with the different approaches. We have to leverage on existing platform like Diksha, Swayam, even with the NPTEL in engineering. Education programs should be made available in 24/7 in the different languages. So it is not only restricted to the English only, it can be made available on the various platforms with the various languages. Availability of affordable computing devices, that is important. Optimizing and extending the existing platforms with an ICT-based initiative, like what I was referring to IIT Chennai Research Park. They develop a device with a 684 kbps speed. You can have the best quality video on your screen. And I personally checked this quality and it is really wonderful. So 684 kbps kind of technology, if you can afford, it's not costly also. It is cheaper than what right now we are getting as from the normal market. So this kind of disruptive technology usage needs to be brought to the school level as well as the college level at a remote place, which can give a better advantage to the individuals at various locations. We have to provide the assistive tool for monitoring the diverse group of learners, because when we go online, we don't know that who are going to be the learners. When it comes to the class, we have certain limitations. that, okay, standard 10, these are the students. But when it talks about NEP, NEP is actually referring to multi-point entry, multi-point exit. So student can enter at any level, and he or she can move out at any level. So when we have a different group of learners, then we also have to ensure that that assessment mechanism is also linked to that group of learners. Because the person having a 5 years of industry experience working as a fitter or a turner, if he or she is coming for a diploma program in an institute, he also should be able to, he needs to be evaluated according to his practical knowledge, along with the theoretical part, whereas a student who is directly coming to that course, they will have a different skill set. So we have to develop a different mechanism for assessing different group of learners. We also have to invest on creation of open sources and a public infrastructure. So social entrepreneurs can play a major role here. Provide two-way audio and one-way video interface for holding the online classes. Probably IIT Kanpur, IIT Mumbai, they are doing good job by setting up this kind of remote centers where there is a two-way audio, two-way video and one-way audio kind of facility where students can learn a lot of things from IITs at the remote centers that they have identified. I'll just go through the key initiatives as on today taken by the government as well as some of the institutes. One is that they have already started pilot studies on online education. People have started, like institutions have started setting up some digital infrastructure at their local level. But when, let us take in my university, if I'm setting up a digital infrastructure, so that needs to be made accessible to the nearby schools at least, so that the cost of that digital infrastructure which you have invested, that is been distributed, or other institutes can take a biggest advantage of the available infrastructure, and we can have the 100% utilization of the facility setup. Online teaching platform, content creation, and digital repository. The biggest advantage with the digital platform is that whatever you are creating that is available for tomorrow in a repository, you can do changes as and when required and then again reuse it. So that's the biggest advantage, which was not possible in earlier chalk and board kind of system. So when I have a repository at an institute level, what we should do is that we should make it available to the student as a live streaming, or like what we do with these seminars. We do webinar, keep a YouTube video, and then we share it, right? So similar things can also be done at a school level or an institute level, where all your repositories are made accessible to the students as well as the faculties for references as well as the future reinforced learning. Other points we have already started with that virtual labs, AR, VR labs kind of things that has been already there. People have started working on it. Again, important is the financial or a cost model that needs to be considered for better and effective utilization. So implementation, what should be the implementation plan here? That we have to conduct a research on disruptive technology and a current status of ICT implementation in school and the teacher education institutes, and then development of the e-content strategies, etc. We have to customize it continuously, because once we have set up initially, then we have the learning. So based on the learning, there needs to be customization of architecture at every level, and then it can be moved to the national portal, or it can be applied to the labs for an education needs for the others as well. Design and development as well as rollout of the MOOC courses, massive open source courses will be useful, because everyone cannot afford the cost that other private players are charging, like a Coursera or edX or what, right? So we have to have an open source platform. So this is when it comes to an open source, teachers can or a faculty can download that same and then make necessary changes and again use it, so that it becomes easier and it is customizable as per the local needs, so that it can help the last mile students. Here, one important thing that NEP is talking about is a credit transfer. ICT platforms are going to be really useful when it comes to the credit transfer. If a student is moving from one university to other university, one institute to the other institute, if the data is digital data is available at a portal, then that portal can be directly accessible to the students, or institutes, and institute can straight away verify whether this data is correct or not. Today, what is happening is that a student from X university, when he or she is migrating to Y university has to rely on the certificate or a document which student has submitted. There are chances of having frauds in many cases, and why university is worried about that. But if there is a credit bank, like what NEP has suggested, that there is an academic bank of credit. So X university is uploading the credits of the student of each subject on their ABC portal, that is NSDL right now it's taking care. So why universities only go to that portal and verify, and if it is found okay, then there is minimum chance of having fraud of like mark sheet, fake mark sheet or such things. So here it becomes easier for a student to get transferred from one organization to the other organization. At the same time, let us take a student studying in my university wants to take some course from IIT Mumbai, then he or she should have a flexibility. So IIT Mumbai, when he or she does a course and get evaluated there itself, IIT also is uploading that data on the ABC platform. And now I'm accessing that data and giving credit of that particular subject to the student. So now student is as an ease that he is learning from a place where the best teacher is available or where the best content is being delivered. And at the same time, he's studying at a local level. So by using a credit transfer mechanism or an ICT usage, this credit transfer becomes easier and it is more safer than right now what we have. Dissemination of digital content through the multiple modes, like it can be promoted through the various media that is been available. We have to have the collaboration and solutions for convergence of our efforts. If today I am developing something, then I should share that to the larger mass, and the same thing from the other institute, so that there is a big data information available, big platforms available which can be shared, and a proper convergence will help to implement ICT in schools or even colleges at a faster pace than, because technology changes. Sunil sir has rightly said, we believe that technology changes almost every 45 to 50 days. So within that time frame, if I have to implement new things, then there needs to be convergence of efforts from the various institutes across the country, and only ICT utilization will be able to help us to do that convergence. Here, I would just like to put some buzzwords that we heard when it comes to the NEP: credit transfer, academic bank of credit, entry and exit at any level, educational framework that we need to set up. Because if student is coming from after 10 plus, student is going for a job and then he's coming back for the further studies, then how they can be integrated into my course? Because student is asking, okay, I have 5 year experience after 10th, so I should be considered as a second year student in engineering. But as per the current standard, he or she is only eligible to get admission in diploma program. His experience of working with industry for 5 years is not been counted. But if we develop a proper educational framework, a student with certain years of experience, and if he or she clears certain subjects, he should be made eligible for a particular course at whatever level that fits into the framework. So probably those things are possible provided we have the technology usage or ICT utilization in an education in a bigger way, so that we can meet to the challenges for the future. I think that's done from my side. What I just want to say at the last, then let's discuss, think futuristic, come together for an effective implementation of NEP, and ICT is definitely going to be the part, and there is no way out that we'll be able to skip ICT from at any point. So I think that's done from my side. Ravi sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dharmesh sir. It was really an awesome session on the insights of the ICT. That's about how and why aspects of ICT. Thank you so much. Really, you have done a wonderful session on knowing about the benefits about the COVID, because most of us talk negative about it, but we doesn't look at the other side of it, right? So to start the session, you really brought in a very positive way to take the advantages of the COVID, which is really the main cause, or I can say term it as the main backbone for making the globe coming into this digital education or practicing this ICT. Right. And the another wonderful thing that you really shared, which really made me to think a lot. In fact, it is really a thought-provoking, which even I was not about the IIT Chennai. about the 680 KB, this thing where the videos can be uploaded, transferred, in fact, received and
No, you can have the live streaming, sir.
okay. Even live streaming as well.
It's a live streaming at 684 kbps, and I have
Wow.
done it personally. Checked it
Wow,
personally.
that's really an amazing thing. That's why I told you the entire journey of yours for the 2.5 decades is completely into technology. That's why I told, that speaks the volume of your technical knowledge that you are having about the technology, right? Wonderful, this thing. And challenges that are really coming up or we are facing currently also, you really explained it very nicely. Whether it is digital competency or unavailability of the digital resources, or even the limitation in the delivery by the educators like us. So where we need to upgrade our upskills on the digital platform also, not only with the academic subjects, and also bridging the digital divide. It was very awesome form. And nothing less to say about this thing. What is, we are going to have it way forward. So most of the people ask whenever I do the sessions, okay, they say, sir, feedback. I tell, no, I don't want any feedback. I want only feed forward. Like whatever I have done. But I want to know what are the limitations I had in my delivery so that I can improve on it for my next delivery, right? That's how the way forward was really beautifully explained by you, whether it is suitable training for all the educators and the learners as well, the pedagogy change, different approaches for online assessment, and also the blended providing assistive tools, which is a major this thing concern as of now. But going forward, if all gets that assisting tools, it would be a great advantage or benefit to all of us. And explaining the implementation plan and also the buzzwords for the learners as well as for the, all of us are learners in fact, but we are terming ourselves as educators. So it was an awesome and a wonderful session. And I thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So based on today's wonderful delivery by both the stalwarts on the ICT topic, on the topic of the day, actually, we should fall behind in thanking our platform providers, that is the International Internship University, the IIU. And a great thanks and a heartfelt gratitude to the founder of this platform, Mr. Piyush Pandit sir, one who has really envisaged all the educators to come together and present their views, their thoughts, their ideas, and so on and so forth to all the learners and the educators across the globe. A wonderful platform. We are very much privileged to be here on this platform, and we should not forget the speakers for the day and also all the speakers, those who have delivered their sessions so far and so long for the last 14 days in educating us and delivering a wonderful insights of the knowledge that we need to inculcate in each and every one of us. And nevertheless, we should not forget to convey our thanks and our gratitude to the entire team of the International Internship University, the IIU, who are the backbone behind making this webinar series on the National Education Policy 2020 a great success. Thank you one and all. Thank you so much. And nevertheless, at last, thanks to all the viewers on both the platforms there is on Zoom platform as well as on Facebook Live platform. Thank you, everyone. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.